Welcome back, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, for the latest episode of Dick Rogers, Space Detective. Let me get you up to speed. On August 10th, the nerds were invited back to DBQ Fest, Iowa's oldest art festival, for the third year in a row, and while we were excited to be there, as always, we were especially excited to be able to present both parts of a 2-episode story for the live audience. So, if you weren't there that day and you didn't catch last month's episode, I am legally required to advise you to pause this episode right now and go back to listen to Dick Rogers and the Kindergarten Caper before continuing this episode. Or at least that's what our attorney, Michael Skevington Esquire, advised us to do. But if you have heard Kindergarten Caper, you're good to go. Just keep on listening, and me and the rest of the nerds will catch you at the end.
Here we go! In the new world of space detecting, there's no name more well-known or more well-respected in the underworld of space crime. There's no name more feared. From Space Station Alpha to Asteroid Z, there's no man whose career is followed more closely than the adventures of Dick Rogers, Space Detective. When we last left our hero, he had been coerced into aiding and abetting a nefarious scheme, surprised by a puckish and precocious child, and he's currently being held at the point of his own blaster by what seems to be a living stuffed doll.
I've got this under control.
Which is all part of his ingenious master plan. But you might ask, what could that plan possibly be? To find out, all you have to do is leave your radio turned to WPUN for Dick Rogers and the Dukkan's design.
Now get moving, Space Detective. If we're gonna clear out this vault before they swap it, we're gonna have to move fast. And by fast, I mean 90% of the speed of light.
Easy, Trouble. What would the kid think if you blasted me right in front of him?
Ooh, yeah, Trouble! Blast him! Pew, pew, pew!
But Dick would never get to find out whether Trouble would have obeyed young Dweezil's command.
Whew.
Because at that very moment, Trouble fell limply into Dweezil's arms, dropping the blaster in the process, as the rest of the goons that accompanied them to the bank came charging out of the shadows, closely followed by a swaggering Lorena Isorio.
Dick. I see you managed to stun Gus and Eddie, but did you think they would be the only ones keeping an eye on you? This is going to be our biggest caper yet, and there's no way I'm letting a jive stooge like you stop me from gaining the notoriety I deserve.
And all that money.
What's that? You think I do this for the money?
Well, when you're preparing to grab lift an entire bank vault without the request of the bank manager, or at least the head of the maintenance, I assure you're not planning on turning it in for one of those scrap metal value.
You small-minded fool. You can't imagine anything more valuable than money.
Well, as a working stiff, I do find it helpful to keep lights on and food on the table.
The only thing you keep in the fridge is ice for your whiskey.
You stay out of this, honey. How did you even get here in the first place?
Mom, that wasn't me. That was Trouble.
I'm sure it was, dear. St. Charlie, could you get my son back to the house? It's past your bedtime, young man.
Aw, Mom, do I have to?
This instant, mister. You'll need your sleep if you want to grow up big and strong like Charlie here.
The largest man Dick had ever seen stepped up and gently took Dweezil's hand to lead him out of the darkened bank. But if Charlie's extensive collection of scars and hyper tattoos was any indication, the nickname Saint could be nothing but ironic.
Okay, little man. Let's get you home and in bed.
Aw, no! Wait, can you read me a bedtime story?
Any story you want.
Will you read me my favorite?
Of course. The Fuzziest Bunny and the Ear of Corn.
As the hulking man and the tiny child walked out hand in hand, Lorena turned back to Dick with a mischievous glint in her eye.
Of course, a bottom-feeding gumshoe like you couldn't fathom the work we're doing here tonight.
Well, I guess you'll just have to enlighten me.
I guess I will.
Go on then.
I will.
Then do it.
Okay.
But as their witty banter reached new heights, groans could be heard from the direction of the elevators.
What happened?
I think we got hit with a wide beam stun blast.
Will you two quit lollygagging and get over here? I may have underestimated our jive guest here. I can't even trust him while we've got our eyes on him. He found a way to sneak my son out here and put him in danger. I'm sure he'd find a way to try and ruin our masterpiece. I'd like you two to take him into the maintenance room over there and...
She drew her index finger slowly across her throat.
Take care of him.
I thought you'd never ask.
Our extreme pleasure.
But Dick was nothing if not unflappable. He quickly and calmly came up with a plan to buy himself some time.
Just like that? I spend all day looking after your charming and well-behaved son, and you're just gonna...
He drew his index finger across his throat.
Take care of me?
I'd offer you 7 credits an hour for babysitting, but I don't think you'd accept my dirty money.
And, you say you're about to achieve your masterpiece. You're just going to bump me off and leave me wondering what stroke of genius I missed experiencing?
Now, don't be so dramatic. Besides, I'm sure the banks will try to keep our little master stroke secret for as long as they can.
Wait, banks? Plural?
Why do you think we're grav lifting the whole vault? If all we wanted to do was empty it, we would have done it hours ago.
Well, I guess I'll never have a chance to let the secret slip. Why not enlighten me?
If you insist. You see, we've been casing banks on this station for months, and we finally found the perfect pair. Both Intergalactic Savings and Loan, where we are, and Ground State Bank and Trust have the exact same model vault. The Zithrax Hypervault Mark 32.5. In fact, they're sequential serial numbers. We've infiltrated the staff at both banks and learned not only the ins and outs of their security systems, but also both vault combinations and how to reset them. We've got 16 hours to pull the heist of the century. When they open up tomorrow, neither bank will know anything has happened until they have to enter their vaults to find the contents completely different. And neither one will want to admit what happened to other banks or even to law enforcement. Who knows how long it will take them to figure out just exactly what happened. And by then, how will they fix the days, weeks, maybe even months of chaos that has ensued?
And you're not going to steal anything?
Well, we did take those pens that are chained to the teller counters and replace them with bananas, but that was only to heighten the chaos.
But what's really the point?
I knew you would never understand. Eddie, Gus, get him out of here and do what you do best.
And as the surly thugs dragged Dick off into the maintenance closet full of Lorena's terminal instructions, it's time for a word from our sponsors.
No, you can't just leave me like this. Aw, crap.
For all your commerce for back-to-school supplies, you can rely on Zithrax. Yes, Zithrax. Our pencils are made with 80% more lead than our competitors. Our new and improved Trapper Keepers are 20% less likely to trap your fingers. And backpacks are now certified 100% radiation-proof. Why? Don't ask. Zithrax, the school supplies for all Zinglorpian moms count on. We enter a dark and musty maintenance closet to find Dick strapped with tape to an improvised seat made of a mop bucket being loomed over by Gus the Strangler, while patient Eddie busies himself bending over a duffel bag in the corner.
I've been waiting for this all day.
Have I really been that much of a bother?
Don't flatter yourself, Space Detective. There's nothing Gus likes better.
Oh no! Whereas, based on your nickname, I'm sure you're not in a hurry to make any rash decisions. How does a man in your line of work end up with the nickname Patient Eddie anyway?
Eddie stood up from his work in the duffel bag, and there was enough light just for a moment to see Eddie's eyes light up.
Well, years ago, before I worked for Lorena, I had a boss who was a real nightmare. I'm sure you know the type. Always micromanaging you, but then they get on your case for not working independently.
Reminds me of my chief.
I'm sure. Anyway, one time I was supposed to dispose of some surplus organic matter, and the boss had a few quantum pigs for that purpose. Now, I had already disassembled the waste, and I was feeding the pigs, and the boss comes out and starts telling me how I'm screwing it up. Now, it tended to get real slippery in the pig pen, and I could clearly see that the boss was wearing the wrong shoes because he was sliding all over. I knew it was just a matter of time before he lost his footing and fell over, so each time he asked me if I got it yet, I said, I guess I don't. Could you show me again? And when he finally fell, I knew just where to dump what was left of the bucket. That was a pretty crazy feeding frenzy. Then I just had to wait and make sure there was nothing identifiable.
Dear Lord, and that's how you got your nickname, Patient? I can't imagine how Gus got the nickname the Strangler.
It's actually a really cute story. I do a little crochet in my free time, and when I first started working for Lorena, it was just before Christmas. I thought, why don't I whip up some matching scarves for the whole gang? But I forgot to wash the wool to shrink it before I started. Then I guess Taxidermy Tim was wearing his on a rainy night, and when he came into the warm building, it started shrinking down a little bit, and he was joking with the guys that I was trying to strangle everyone.
But Dick never got to hear the end of that charming anecdote, because as Gus was speaking, he noticed a small figure moving behind the goons, and suddenly the whole closet lit up with blaster light.
Trouble, is that you?
Who else do you know that's 2.5 feet tall with this impeccable fashion sense?
I'm so glad to see you. Those two are going to
Dick slowly drew his finger across his neck.
take care of me.
Yeah, it's not really what you think, but anyway, I was...
Trouble flourished their blaster.
Took care of him instead.
You had that thing set to stun, right?
Sure. My blaster usually leaves burn marks like that on stun. It's just superficial. Anyway, we'd better get out of here before those other goons come looking for these two, who, as I said, definitely are only stunned.
Sure. I guess we've got no other option than to scram out of here.
And scram they did. They managed to make it to the stairs without being spotted by any members of the Irisorio gang and started climbing to freedom. So while they ascend a boring stairwell accompanied by nothing but Dick's heavy breathing,
Hey!
you'll be enjoying this message from our sponsors. It's time to suck the D. That's right, Zithrax Dehydrated Water, the best drink to quench your thirst on a hot day. Zithrax had patented system of taking dehydrated water and triple hydrating it. Not to be used internally, Zithrax D may cause internal combustion. Be sure to make every day a D-Day. We return with Dick and Trouble as they exit the intergalactic savings and loan into the broad simulated daylight.
We need to get back to headquarters.
Jeff headquarters?
Good one. No, I've got a little organization of my own. Where's your hover car?
I think it's still on Tempest Array.
I guess we'll have to take the hover streetcar then, which means I'll have to pretend to be a toy again. You'll have to carry me.
I don't know. I think I'll feel a little foolish carrying a stuffed doll onto the hover streetcar.
Well, you've got exactly 15 seconds to get over it. Here comes the 355 logo. Oh, and don't forget, I may look like a toy, but I've got a blaster right here that has your name all over it.
Just as Trouble had said, the hover streetcar pulled up to the curb with its door just feet away from the pair. Trouble collapsed into Dick's arms, facing him to keep the blaster between the two, and out of sight of the passengers they were about to join.
I'm not so sure about this, Trouble.
And I'm not so sure about being seen in public with a lawman, but we all have to compromise sometimes. Now move, or you'll never have to feel embarrassment again.
Ouch! Careful with that thing. Okay, I'm going.
And with that, Dick calmly stepped onto the hover streetcar with more empty seats than full ones, but he was still getting some strange looks.
Hey, buddy, nice doll.
Yeah, what are you? Desperately clutching for a false sense of security in an unsecure world?
No, it's for my, niece. Yeah, it's her birthday today, and, we're having a party.
That's actually sweet, but how come it's not wrapped?
On my planet, if someone shows up to a birthday party with an unwrapped gift, it means someone at the party won't be around for next year's party.
No, of course I'm going to, wrap it. I've got a couple hours before the party.
How old's your niece?
She's, 14.
Don't you think she's a little old for a stuffed alien doll?
She wants to become a toy maker when she grows up, so she's always looking for interesting examples, so she can learn from.
She could certainly learn a few things from this doll.
Hey, who said that? I feel like that had sinister overtones.
Mind your own business, pal. Hey, buddy, isn't this your stop?
I don't think so. I've still got a ways to go to get to my office.
Are you sure you're going to your office?
Awful nosy, aren't you?
Suddenly, Dick felt the blaster digging into his ribs.
You're right, helpful stranger. I needed to get off here at this,
Dick saw that the hover streetcar was pulling up to the front of a toy shop.
toy shop. I need to get her another toy.
And before anyone could ask any other questions, Dick hopped down.
He seemed like a very considerate uncle.
I ain't too sure about that doll, though.
As Dick approached the toy shop, Trouble piped up.
No, not through the front. Go around back, through the alley.
Dick complied, turning into a narrow passageway lined with brightly colored trash.
There's no way this is a real toy shop. What is it? For that matter, you're no doll. What are you?
You humans, you barely reach the edge of your own solar system and you think you know everything. I'm a Dukkan. We come from a planet about 13 light years from here.
How come no one has ever heard of your species?
You may not realize this, but most other species are kind of afraid of humans. Your history, your adaptability. The closest comparison I can give you is fictional trolls in your folklore.
They came to the end of the alley and turned toward the building's rear door.
No, when the first ship from my planet reached your solar system, we figured we'd gather some first-hand knowledge before we initiated contact officially. We've definitely used our resemblance to stuff children's toys to our advantage. Hell, we can talk right to your kids and your adults never seem to believe it. You assume we must be imaginary friends.
That's diabolical.
Coming from you, I'll take that as a compliment.
Trouble entered a code on the lock next to the door, and the unlikely pair entered a large stock room that did in fact contain back stock of toys, but also tools and implements that could only be seen as toys to the most twisted of imaginations. There were also some other figures who could only be Trouble's organization. They appeared to be the two other Dukkans and a Zinglorpian.
This is the gang. This here's Red.
Trouble pointed out a yellow Dukkan with long spindly arms and legs and a bushy mustache.
Hey, then there's Trixie.
The other Dukkan, who was bright blue and looked all the world like someone had sewn up a muscular baby doll.
Nice to meet you!
And Blognar.
This was the Zinglorpian, who to most humans always brought to mind a huge pill bug walking upright on its rearmost legs.
Blognar, how many times do I gotta tell you, turn on your translator chip?
Sorry, boss. What's with the human?
Well, to be honest, he was my ticket out of a bit of a sticky situation.
What gives? With spilling the beans about us?
And if I'm not mistaken, that man is wearing the bland suit and shabby shoes of a gift space detective.
It's fine, you guys. I've got a plan.
Okay. Then spill it.
All right. So the Irrisorios are planning on switching the vaults at Intergalactic Savings and Loan and Ground State Bank and Trust. But what we're going to do is empty both the vaults while they're at it.
What about the safety deposit boxes?
Blargnar, were you able to make a deal with that gentleman I put you in touch with?
I got the nanite auto lockpicks, if that's what you're asking. But that guy was about as far from a gentleman as you can get.
Nanite auto lockpicks are one of the most illegal pieces of technology out there. Those nanites can't tell the difference between the metal the lock is made of and the metal that a space station structure is made of. But, I mean, I kinda can't believe you're even talking about your plan in front of me. You know I'm gonna go straight to the gift the first chance I get.
Well, the thing is, Dickie boy, you're not going to get that chance. In fact, for you, the world ends in this room.
You mean you're going to
Dick drew his finger across his throat.
take care of me?
We sure are. And I don't mean we're gonna shrink a restrictive wool scarf around your neck that will keep you out of the way without harming you seriously.
Wait, was that what Lorena meant by this?
Dick drew his finger across his throat again.
Gesture?
Oh, Dick, those jokers are pussycats compared to us.
Egads! Dick thought he was home free, but it turns out he escaped a fairly safe frying pan directly into a raging inferno.
Ooh.
How will Dick escape this predicament? We all have to find out after this commercial break. Sit back, find them in a store near you. As we rejoin Dick, we find him in a sadly compromising position. His arms and ankles tied and propped up under a Rube Goldberg machine of death.
You'll never get away with this. If you kill me here, the GIF will be all over you like quality breakfast nutrition on Kellogg's cornflakes.
Just give it up, Dick. You'll never leave here alive. We'll continue our string of crimes and no one will be any the wiser. Heck, when they find your body, it'll look like a simple accident.
With my arms and legs tied, it'll look like an accident?
That's why you're tied up with Zithrak's patented super smooth cord. It's so smooth it won't leave any ligature marks on your corpse. We'll just remove it.
Yeah, those Giffies will never even suspect.
And I doubt they'll even look into it that closely. You're not exactly the most popular lawman on the station.
All right, gang. Grab your stuff. We're out of here on our way to the biggest payday yet.
And with that, the motley crew of criminals grabbed duffel bags and cases while Trouble lit a candle underneath a jump rope that had been strung across the room. Once the rest of the gang had exited the building, Trouble couldn't resist getting in one more taunt.
Au revoir, Mr. Rogers. Oh, wait. We won't be meeting again.
And with that, Trouble also exited the building, leaving Dick to fret out the machinations of his demise.
Don't be so dramatic.
Even the untrained eye could follow the working of this machine of death. The candle burned through the jump rope, which let a toy piano drop from the ceiling, which landed on one side of a children's skis, which had been propped up like a teeter-totter.
Aliens. They always forget about humans.
Which catapulted a soccer ball onto a trampoline that had been lashed to the wall.
Just because their hands don't flatten out when relaxed, they forget that ours can.
Which then bounced off and ricocheted onto the power button of a toy record player, setting it spinning.
So when they tie your arms together, they forget that they have to tie them in the thinnest part of your wrist.
Which started winding the pull string of a Jenny Walks-A-Lot doll.
Which makes it almost too easy to slip your arm out of the rope like so.
Who then, when her string had been fully pulled, began to walk toward a 25-ton safe, which had been precariously balanced so that when she bumped it...
Then you can untie your legs at your leisure and stroll out of their trap like nothing happened.
It would crash down where Dick had just been moments earlier.
Heh, that was no trouble at all. Ha ha ha. Now, it's time to radio the chief.
Dick patted his pockets, coming up empty.
Just as soon as I get to my office.
Will Dick get back to his office and call out the cavalry before two banks find themselves the wrong vaults that are also empty? Find out after these words from our sponsor.
Another DBQ Fest is drawing to a close. And all kinds of people from all over our community are making their purchases. No matter who they are or what art they choose, like this one. Chances are, their dinners will have one thing in common. Art. It's what's for dinner.
Wait, what? No, you're not supposed to eat that.
Delicious.
In the darkened building of the Intergalactic Savings and Loans, the Irisorio gang had just finished freeing up the vault.
Okay, I've got everything disconnected. If you haul back with that grav lifter, you should be able to swing it right out.
Are you sure you haven't seen Eddie or Gus? Have you checked that maintenance closet?
No, not yet. I ain't seen him since they took that space detective away.
Well, check the closet already.
While in the deeper shadows, Trouble's gang was whispering amongst themselves.
And they'll find me laying on the floor, at which point they'll be so distracted grabbing me and making an arrangement for someone to take me back.
I'll be able to crack the vault so Trixie and I can sneak in and get to work.
I can't wait to try those nanite lockpicks.
What's my job again?
You keep an eye on the humans, and if any of them spot us or catch on to what we're doing, you
Trouble drew their index finger across that fleecy throat.
take care of them.
Just to be clear, you're not talking about the thing with the scarf, right?
If there's any wool involved, you'll have to be very creative.
Got it.
Just then, all the lights came on, where GIF officers were running and grav repelling from every angle.
Hey! Partner! You know what to do!
You'll never take the Irisorio family alive!
And with that, The Duckans dropped lifelessly onto the floor, while Blognar drew a blaster from his carapace and started firing. He was able to open himself an escape route as the brave Giffies drove out of the way.
What was that about?
It was at that very moment that Dick ran into the bank, followed closely by the surprisingly lithe and balletic form of the Chief.
Drop that vault carefully and get down on the floor with your hands behind your head.
And drop those scarves. I've seen what they can do.
And I suppose you want me to get down on the floor and ruin this beautiful suit?
Oh no, Lorena. You're coming with me just as soon as I can get these cuffs on you.
That's fine by me. But first, I'd like to shake the hand of the first lawman smart enough to catch me.
Dick stepped toward her with his hand outstretched.
Not you, Dick. Although I guess I'll never know how you escaped my best men.
It was barely me at all. It was Trouble.
You sound just like my son. Put it there, Chief.
Don't mind if I do.
The Chief stepped up and clasped his hands with Lorena.
I guess you showed me. Now hold still.
The Chief clapped her in irons and handcuffed her off to the nearest constable.
Now take her away, Gutierrez.
Sure thing, Chief.
I'm serious, Chief. These three.
He pointed down at the Duckans, feigning inanimateness on the ground.
They're a species of alien we haven't made formal contact with called the Duckans. The green one is the one who created the corpses you'll find in this maintenance closet. This one's name is Trouble. They're the ringleader. The Zenglarpian who ran off is part of their gang too.
Oh, really? And I'm sure my son's army men get out of the drawer and fight tiny little wars amongst themselves whenever we leave the room. You grab the toys, we'll take the criminals.
With that, the Chief and the rest of the Giffies took the last of Lorena's goons out of their hover paddy wagons, leaving Dick with the apparent toys.
I'm not crazy, right? You guys are alive, aren't you?
But there was no response from the small, fuzzy figures at his feet. Dick reached down and lifted Trouble up into the light.
Hey, wake up!
He shook Trouble lightly, but there was no reaction.
I guess I am crazy. Maybe my morning whiskey was a little stronger than I realized.
Dick let his arm drop to the side, Trouble included.
Stop, I give! I'm real! Now put me down, I think I'm gonna hurl!
I don't think I've ever been so happy to have someone threaten to vomit on me.
Dick let Trouble down as the other Duckans placed themselves off the floor.
I thought those flatfoots would never leave.
Boss, we should probably book it out of here ourselves.
Yeah, you two get gone. I'll have a word with our new friend here.
Okay, we'll see you later,
As they
boy.
padded off on their soft feet, Trouble motioned for Dick to come along and slowly followed behind the others.
I'm not sure how you're even alive. I couldn't have gotten out of that trap I left you in.
Well, you might be surprised at what I'm capable of.
Sure. Anyway, let's call it a truce for now. You don't tell anyone about us, and we won't pay you a visit some dark night with blasters.
It's a deal, you weird little thing.
All right, see ya.
And Trouble walked out into the space station's simulated evening while Dick got ready to head back to his office.
Hey, where's my hover car? Ah, crap. It's still on Tempest Array, isn't it?
It is! And so we've reached the end of today's adventure of Dick Rogers, Space Detective. Will Dick and Trouble cross paths again in the future? Find out. You'll have to just keep tuning in each week. Same space time, same space channel.
And that's our show!
We hope you've had as much fun as we have.
If you did and want to experience more adventures of Dick Rogers, Space Detective, you can find us at your favorite podcast app, or even your least favorite one.
Hit him with the handles, Mike.
We're on Facebook at Dick Rogers Pod, on Instagram at Dick Rogers Space Detective, and Twitter at Rogers Space. And you can join the nerds on Patreon at patreon.com/space_detective.
Thanks for coming out, everybody.
This episode's nerds are Angela Ventris as Eleanor and Trouble, Michael Storm as Mike Nutley and the Chief, Brittany Stone as Evangeline, Lorena, Passenger 2, and Red, Logan Wright as Daniel, Narrator, and Gutierrez, Andrea Lang as Charlotte and Dick Rogers, Jacob Herman as Philip, St. Charlie, Gus the Strangler, and Trixie, and Nicholas Johnson as Coburn, Patient Eddie, Passenger 1, and Blorgnar. Dick Rogers and the Dukkan's design was written by Nicholas Johnson and Angela Ventris. Music by Nicholas Johnson, sound design by Michael Storm, and audio editing by Nicholas Johnson.